combining of data frames in Pandas. And we will be mainly talking about concatenation and the merging. Now, let's say that you are new to this channel and you don't know that how to assess the code. So there is a good news for you. I always put the link of my GitHub page. So I will be putting this GitHub page link to the code which I'm discussing in this video in the description of this video, right? So when you are watching the video, you can actually click on that link and you can come to this code page and you can click on open in collab and it will be opened in Google Collaboratory, and eventually you can run all the commands alongside me, right? So let's start. So why do we need to combine the data frames? Now there might be a case that you are collecting the data from multiple areas. uh, let's say that you're collecting the data from multiple websites and it is having few columns of information in one website and few other columns on the other website. Or maybe you are, let's say that you are planning to watch a webinar, you register for it, but there might be a case that you forget to log in on the in the live session of that webinar. So you will not be logging in, but you had registered. But on the other hand, let's say you did not register it earlier, but on the day of the webinar you are attending it, so you have logged in, you have done everything on that present day, but you have not registered prior to it. So these kind of information where your name will be matched in two tables. Let's say that there are two tables now, one the registration table and the other login table. Now if you have done the registration and you are doing the login, your name will be in the both the tables. Otherwise there might be a case that your name is missing in one of the tables. Let's talk about these things in detail now. So if you click on this link, you will be taken to this page and you can learn more about merge, join, concatenate and compare. So a good documentation has been done in the official Pandas documentation page. You can look into it later on, but yeah, I mean, I just want to give you an idea that how these things work. And if you learn the basics right in this video, I'm sure that you can work on other things also. So let's import the Pandas. Now, before that, I want to connect my platform. So let's click on connect and let me be assigned with the RAM and the GPU and everything. So once the system is assigned to us by the Google Colab, we will be doing the import of Pandas as PD. So now we are connected. We have RAM and the disk space. So import Pandas as PD. Now I have taken these two dictionaries, data 1 and data 2, and I'm converting it into two data frames. So 1 and 2, I want to visualize them. So 1 is looking like this, in which there are A and B, two columns, and multiple rows are there, 0, 1, 2, 3, and names in the data are also A0, B0. It is easy to remember, right? A is the column, 0 is the row. So A0, B0, A1, B1. Similarly, in the data frame 2, it is C0, D0, C1, D1. So simple, right? Now I want to concatenate the data set along the rows. I have to simply use a command pd.concat 1 comma 2 are the two data frames which I want to concatenate, and x is equal to 0 because I want to do it over the rows. Now if I concatenate these two, I will I will have the data a0, b0, a1, b1. Everything has been combined, uh, but there are nan values also, right? There are not a number values. uh, I mean, it is actually concatenating both the data sets, but also combining the columns, right? A and B column is also there, C and D column is also there. So there are lots of nan values. It can be a good thing, but let's try to improve this. Now if you want to concatenate along the columns, if you do it, x is equal to 1 pd.concatenate. So let's see how it looks like. So it looks like this: abc8, quite clean, right? Cleaner than the previous version. Now we have c0, c1, c2, c3, and indexes are also 0, 1, 2, 3. In the previous version there was this problem of 0, 1, 2, 3, and after again 0, 1, 2, 3 again, right? So there was this duplicacy. So that has been handled well by using this concatenation over xs1. Now if I do it as 2 comma 1, now I'm changing the order, right? So obviously cd will come first and then ab will come. So quite simple to remember. But now for x is equal to 0, let's say that my columns should match up. Why? Because I want that for this 0, 1, 2, 3, I mean, the second time when 0123 comes up, I don't want it should be repeated. Now, after doing this, now CDAB is there, but now let's say that I want to work on concatenation over the rows only. But over the rows, there was an issue while doing x is equal to 0. I mean, A and B was there, C and D was also there. So what if I convert this C and D as AB only and then concatenate? Right. So let's say that two dot columns equal to one dot columns, which will in turn convert C and D as AB, right? And then let's do the concatenation over the rows. So it looks like this over the rows. I mean, A and B is there now, but A0, B0, A1, B1 up to C0, D0, C1, D1, C3, D3. But again, now this 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3 is there, and we can actually convert this into 0 to 7 by simply writing these two statements. I can do a concatenation, right? Concatenation is done, and then to get the index values, I can do a range of length my df. So if I do these two three things, I will find 0 to 7 in this. Let's talk about inner merge, outer merge, left and right merge. So when the data frame is not in the exact same order, and we cannot concatenate, right? Then we need to merge the two data frames. This merging is actually similar to the join function of SQL. And if you want to learn more about merge, you can go to this link. It will look something like this, in which there are lots of things that have been covered. So there are lots of examples also. You can look into it later on, but let me give you a basic idea that when I'm doing this pd.merge, I'm actually uh, doing the merging in the data frame based on some predefined condition, let's say inner, outer, left or right. And also I will be defining that with the argument of how I will be giving the value as how equal to inner, how equal to outer, everything will be given. So let's say that I am working on how equal to inner. The output will be the actually intersection of the two tables, right? So let's say that I have two data frames. Registrations is a data frame in which I have registration ID 1234. Names are Dhoni, Rohit, Kohli, and Sachin. And similarly, in the logins, I have the names as Yuvraj, Rohit, Bumrah, and Kohli. Now, obviously, Rohit and Kohli are in both the data frames, right? So let's see that how it works. So if I look into these two data frames, they look like this. For the first data frame, registration ID is 1234. Names are Dhoni, Rohit, Kohli, and Sachin. Let's say that we had some webinar coming up and these four people registered. And then login ID means that on the day of webinar, these four people came up and logged into the webinar. So Yuvraj, Rohit, Bumrah, and Kohli. So if I do some function now, if I want to see help on pd.merge, I can run a command of pd.merge with help, and I can look into what are the options for me and what are the things that I need to cover. So how will be covered? I mean, left, right, outer, inner, everything will be taught to you. And on which label you have to do it, left on, right on, left index, right index. So everything will be covered, or these five things will be covered for sure. And how will also be covered. Suffixes will also be covered in this video. So most of the things I will be covering. Let's see that how to get the things done. So if I do a pd.merge with registrations comma logins, so these are the two data frames on which I want to work on, right? So the order matters not much, but still it does a bit. So when I'm doing inner join, when I'm doing the merging using the inner, I'm doing it on the column name. So name, right? So you can see there are Rohit and Kohli who are in both the data frames. Now, if you do pd.merge with how equal to inner, you will get the output as this. Because registrations were the first, I mean, because registrations was on the left and logins was on the right. So you can see that registration ID is on the left of the name and login ID is on the right of the name. And I mean, the index is also there for Rohit and Kohli. 2 3 was there for registration. It is 2 and 3, right? And 2 and 4 for login, 2 and 4 here. So obviously you can see it is pretty simple to understand that it is actually doing the intersection of the two data frames. Now again, if you do it with the reverse numbers, with the reverse sequence of the data frames, now login ID will come first and then the registration ID will come, right? But the names are consistent, Rohit and Kohli. But if you are only focused about the values which are coming up, so Rohit and Kohli is in the same order, but the login ID and registration ID locations have been swapped in the data frame. Now if I talk about left and right merge, in this the order matters a lot, right? Why? Now simply because I have to define that which data frame is the left one, which one is the right one. So if I do this command of pd.merge, left equal to registration, right equal to login, and how equal to left, how equal to left means that I am doing a left join, right? I am doing a left merge. Now because there is this registration data frame which is being covered by how equal to left, so left merge will be done in this. All the names in the registration data frame will come up: Dhoni, Rohit, Kohli, and Sachin. And all these four names will be tested if they are also in the right data frame. But only Rohit and Kohli was there. So Rohit and Kohli have their numbers in the login IDs, but Dhoni and Sachin are not having it. So NN values have been put at this place. I mean, left merge means that we have to cover all the rows of the left data frame, and if the value is not there on the right data frame, then you can give a NN value inside it. Otherwise the values will be given as the output. Again, for the right merge, you have to consider all the values in the logins data frame here. So all the values of login data frame will be given: Yuvraj, Rohit, Bumrah, and Kohli. And if there was a value available in registrations data frame, the value will be returned. Otherwise NN value will be returned for that particular name. Now outer merge. Now if I talk about the outer merge, it means that it will grab all the names from both the tables. So all the names will be grabbed, and it will be done on the name. So let's say that Dhoni, Rohit, Kohli, Sachin, these were the four names in the registration, and then the login had the other names, including the Yuvraj and Bumrah. So a overall merging has been done here. So whatever is there in the registration ID is there, and if it is not in the login ID is nan, and similarly vice versa. So that is how the inner merge, left and right merge, and the outer merge works, right? Now let's cover if we want to join on an index instead of a column. Now till now we were joining through the column names. The column name was name, and we were working on the two data frames using the name column. But now if I, let's say, if let's say that I want to work on the indices. So let's say that I want to work on the indices. So I have converted the registrations data frame as registration dot set index name, right? So initially registration ID was on the left, name was the second column. But in this, now we have this name Dhoni, Rohit, Kohli, and Sachin as the indices, and registration IDs are there 1 2 3 4, and login is as it is. So earlier we had this name which was a column in both the data frames, but in the logins now name is name is the column, but for registrations data frame the name is index, right? Now I want to use this index. Let's work on it. Now if I want to join on registrations index and logins name column, I have to work it like this: pd.merge registration and logins. Left index should be true. Left index true means that for this left name registrations, index true means that I will be working on the index. So index is name Dhoni, Rohit, Kohli, and Sachin. And for the right column, in the right side of logins, I want to work on the column. Earlier I was using on equal to name, right? So earlier I was using on equal to name. Now in this I am giving the value as right on. It means that for the right name, for the right data frame, I want to work on the column, so right on equal to name. But for the left hand side I want to work on the index, so left index equal to true. So for the column I'm giving the name, but for the index I'm giving the value as true or false. How equal to inner I want to use? inner merge. So this is how it looks like. So registration ID 23, login ID 24, names and names are Rohit Kohli. Now let me reset the index and bring back the registrations data frame as normal, where name is at column again. So if I do it now, let's say that I am renaming my columns in the registrations data frame as registration name and registration ID, reg name, reg id, and for logins it is login id and name. Now obviously both the columns are not name, so one is name but is reg name, right? Now if I want to work on it, I have to again give these values. Left on is reg name, right on is name, and work on it as a inner merge. So I mean you have to actually give the names of the columns, and using the left on right on, you can easily give the names of the columns whichever you want to use. Now because names are duplicate, right? Rohit Kohli with the reg name and Rohit Kohli with the name, we can drop one of the columns, and in this I am dropping reg name and x is equal to 1 means I am dropping the column. So if we drop the reg name column, the answer is this, right? Now let's say I want to rename the columns as name ID, and for the logins I want to rename the columns as ID comma name. So if I look into the data, it looks like this now. So name ID is name, and name ID is Dhoni 1, Rohit 2, and in this login I have this ID and name 1 2 3 4, and name is Yuvraj, Rohit, Bumrah, Kohli. Now if I do this registrations and comma logins, how equal to inner, on equal to name. So I want to do a inner merge on the column name. If I run this, you will see that automatically idx and idy has been given. It means that I mean obviously there was this id of registrations, there was this id of logins, but they have taken the values as x and y. So x is my registrations, y is my logins. So automatically underscore x and underscore y has been appended. If you want to update this thing, there is this thing called suffix. So by default the suffix value is underscore x and underscore y, but we can do it for ourselves that I want to do this thing, but I also want to rename my columns with underscore left and underscore right, right? So if I run this now, you will see that id left and id right has been given as the column headings, and this is how you work on the inner merge by handling these kind of variations in the data frame. Even if there was duplicate names of the columns, even if there was this names as the indexes, right? And we still managed to do some merging by using different commands. On is for column, and then this left on right on is for the columns, and for the rows you can work on the left index and right index. So if you go into the help of pd.merge, you will find that left index, right on, left on, all of these things are available to us, and even the suffix. So I will show you again when I was trying to show you the help. So if you go to the merge help, if you go to this pd.merge, I told you that I will be covering most of the things. So we have covered how, we have covered on, we have covered left on, right on, uh, left index, right index, and also we have covered the suffix was by default underscore x and underscore y. So this was by default, but then we converted into underscore left and underscore right, right? And we got the answers based on that. So you can also name it in any form. You can name it as your name, or maybe underscore registrations underscore logins. So any name can be written here. So that's how we do the job whatever was given to us. So it has been covered. So that's it, that's the end of the code. And we have covered a lot of things, and I hope that you learned a lot of it. So I recommend you that you should work on a different data set to learn more about this problem, right? And I hope that you will be masters of actually working on the combining of data frames. Let's meet in the next video. Till then, practice more and watch all the videos on time. Subscribe to the channel and press on the bell icon to get notified about the latest videos. Thank you.